don't know who Angie is, so, but you can come up here if we know you. So I apologize, Angie, I don't know you, so until we get to know you, you can partake in the chat room or on the stage. But if we do know you, you know the rules. We have room for 12 at the table, and you know, where we talk about stuff. I'm just looking at this at the New York Times. There's one thing I had just seen. It says Trump has drafted a letter to fire the Fed chair and ask Republicans if he should. So this is pretty interesting that Trump is starting to do what Elon Musk does. Because this is what Elon Musk does. He goes on Twitter. I refuse to call it X. He goes on Twitter and he puts out, he starts his own poll. And he says, do you think we should do X, Y, Z? And then, of course, whatever he wants, he does the answer because he only knows, he makes up whatever answer he wants. But it's like a really weird way of like pretending like he's democratic. So I guess this is Donald Trump's way of saying it's pretty fucking crazy. I don't know, does anybody up on stage have an article that they read or something they've been thinking about, or if they want to vent about anything? I know, Scotty, you must have something you want to vent about.
Me?
Yeah.
No, I mean, people were surprised that Cuomo was running as independent, which is what I told everybody months ago that he was going to do regardless. So he's running as independent. The polls right now are 35 for Zoran, 25 for Cuomo. I think it's like 13 or 18% for the Republican Curtis Sliwa, the racist, and homophobe, and 11% for Mayor Adams.
So do you think it's not going to make any difference either way?
You know, it's hard to know. There's a lot of time between now and November, and they're going to be throwing everything at Mamdani's. And once again, I think the takeaway here, regardless of what happens, Mamdani's campaign should be studied by the Democratic Party nationwide, not for the policies, specifically, thank you, but for the strategy that he was employing. We'll keep this dispensed. Because he's run an exceptional campaign. He knows how to connect with people. He knows how to do social media. He knows how to do interviews. And he knows how to get back to like retail politics, going out, meeting people in the communities where they are, like one-to-one, and excellent at that. He has energized so many young people in this city, but also energized older people. It's not just cut and dry on, you know, the type of people that he resonates with. His message is very simple. It's making New York City more affordable. And that resonates with pretty much everybody. I mean, lots of wealthy people will agree too. And maybe that's because they hate Cuomo, they hate Adams, and they'll never vote for Sliwa. So that's possible. But the amount of energy around this guy is palpable. And to see it happening, it's very, very exciting. I don't know, I have a lot of issues with him vis-a-vis his policies and experience. However, I mean, if you can motivate a lot of people to be active in politics, I mean, this is a winning strategy for, for the Democratic Party across America. But again, not the Democratic Socialist Party per se, but just the energy, the connecting to the issues that people care about, that are very much like kitchen table issues.
Yeah, no, look, I agree with you, although the only critical thing I would say is I think what he did is amazing, and they should look at what he's doing and try to mimic it. But I think that it's somewhat of a generational thing, because Cuomo is already starting to try to mimic the thing, and it doesn't work. It's a generational thing. Every time he tries to copy, it comes out very cringy. So I'm curious if his is really a young person's campaign, and if anybody outside of his generation does it or younger, it looks like it's manipulative, right? It doesn't look genuine. It doesn't look genuine for Cuomo to act like Mamdani. It just doesn't translate.
Yeah, I know. And you ran a terrible campaign that Cuomo got.
Oh, it's horrible.
Like really, really bad. Wasn't good in the debates and everything like that. Again, like a debate can change things. So the debate happens, and Cuomo's on his feet, and Mamdani can't get any traction because he's fumbling over his policies that a lot of them can't be done unless, of course, the city council agrees with them, and of course the state legislature and Kathy Hochul pass things. This is specifically regarding like taxes and stuff that he wants to raise. So it's going to be very difficult. However, I think it's going to be interesting is how after the summer, after people are really focusing after Labor Day, what is the campaign going to look like? What are the gaps the candidate's going to make? Is Eric Adams going to even push above the 11% that he has currently? And how many debates? I don't know how many debates they're going to do. And hopefully they do a lot. And I think a lot of people are waiting for something like that because a lot of people are not sold on Zoran. I'm not 100% on him either. I know that I hate Cuomo, but it doesn't mean that he's out of the picture for everybody and he couldn't sneak up there. So, how do we get Cuomo switch the vote of those types of people? And the way that the map broke down in New York City is very fascinating. You have a lot of gentrified neighborhoods voting for Zoran. You have a lot of the old school black neighborhoods, a lot of homeowners that were staunchly Cuomo. You have the people who make under $50,000 a year. One would think they would be for Zoran, but they were for Cuomo. And then, boroughs like the Bronx and Staten Island, no surprise, went to Cuomo as well. So it's really fascinating to see the old neighborhoods in Brooklyn. The Bedside, which is a predominantly black neighborhood, but has been gentrified to an extent, and it's also wealthier. And the wealthier black neighborhoods, Fort Greene, Clinton Hill, they all went for Zoran. But you go just a mile away and you're in, let's say, East Flatbush, and you're in Canarsie or Brownsville or whatever. Those are predominantly old school black neighborhoods, and they all went staunchly for Cuomo. So it's just fascinating to see this breakdown happening. So we'll see what happens. I'm very curious.
Yeah, me too. Since it's going to be my new home. Yeah. It is. I was just reading, I don't know if you saw this in the New York Times, that an ex-commissioner sues Eric Adams, saying that ran the NYPD as a criminal enterprise. Is that surprising?
I mean, yeah, we don't care. I mean, to be honest, like his corruption thing, when I was reading about it and found out like what it actually was, I was like, I don't know, on the scale of corruption, we don't want corruption, period, right? But on the scale of corruption, like he could have been way more corrupt. $100,000 was what I think went to his campaign. I'm like, all right, well that's nothing. If you're gonna go big, do $5 billion. All right, you got a free flight to fucking Turkey, first class, I think. Yeah, I don't know. And I was like, well, it's kind of in the lower end. It's corruption and it shouldn't happen, but it's kind of funny that they were doing all that for him, and he's been labeled as a corruption candidate, which is true. He's corruption, but it didn't strike me as like completely over the top. Maybe we're just used to corruption being at such a lowest level. He didn't do it. But look at this, because I was on a conference call with a lot of real estate people in New York, listening to a lot of like the bigwigs that had a company with regards to and so around its impact, going to impact the real estate market, how are people feeling about it. And the general consensus is, apart from like wait and see, it was more like, hey, New York is New York. You know, the people are all, you know, are always going to leave to go to Florida for this or that. But there isn't a mass exodus. There are some people who are inclined to sell anyway and leave to Florida, Texas to escape income taxes. But generally speaking, like, where are you going to go? You know, to have the lifestyle that you have here, you got to pay for it. You know, nobody's going. There's no Broadway in Miami. There's no Broadway in Dallas or Houston. You know, there's no like crazy amount of restaurants. There's a great restaurant scene in Houston, of course, and you know, parts of Miami. But there's nothing like New York City. And a lot of people live here, and they're just, you know, sucking it up. It's not going to be a fire sale of people getting out of here because the Democrat social maybe mayor. They get scared the hell out of us when de Blasio was elected mayor because he was like one of the most progressive ones, allegedly. He turned out to be fine for the city. It was kind of like a lot. Like, yeah, people could leave or whatever, but, you know, taxes weren't crazy. And a lot of these politicians can talk shit about like, hey, we're going to raise your taxes, and everybody gets like really scared or whatever. But at the end of the day, you know, the people end up staying here, you know, and the real estate industry is going to move on. The inventory is very low here, so it's still hard to find places at every single price level. And people are just going to, you know, suck it up. So if you're super wealthy, you're going to suck it up. And if they have to pay, like, I don't know, what is it, $20,000 more a year, if you're making $1 million and more, that's still around this proposal. You know what? They'll get over it.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that was a really good assessment. Yeah, and it's similar to the idea in California. Everybody's leaving California. No, they're not. You know, they're there. The reason why California is the fourth largest economy in the world is because it has all these advantages that are unique. So yeah, it makes no sense. You know, and also real estate is a long-term business, and they also know that if he's that bad, he's not going to last more than a few years, and it'll turn back to their advantage 3 years from now, and they can wait it out. It's like there's no there's no real like emergency here at all. Okay. Let's go to Andrew and then to Rick and David. So you guys get ready, and anybody down below that wants to come up. Andrew, what's happening today? Happy Wednesday.
Thank you. And you?
Yes.
Well, of course, fires are always in the news lately.
Yeah.
I guess I got 1 in 10 evacuees since Manitoba are not yet in hotel spaces, and even though they're available, so I don't know. There must be some kind of
is a fraud and a liar
involved there to account for the delay. We're talking about 1,000 people or so, something like that. But the hoteliers are saying there is room, so that's a good thing anyway. But yeah, you know, anytime government starts to chart your accommodations, you're going to have an issue, I think. Anyway, an incident out of Vancouver this morning or yesterday, and I'm not really sure the details. It kind of seem a little weird. They're calling it a hijack. There's a small aircraft out of Victoria, so just across on the island, and they hijacked this plane. They being one guy, and he was the only passenger, or he was the only person on board, it said. So, and he flew it to Vancouver, and of course they had to stop flights from landing for about 39 minutes while this guy eventually landed and was arrested. But I don't know if that's hijacking or just stealing an aircraft. I don't know how that worked, but it was kind of strange. And then this afternoon or this morning, Porter Airlines, which they run from Toronto Island Airport to Ottawa, Montreal, New York City, and I suppose they go out west too, because this flight had left actually not from Island Airport for Hamilton, which is a great place to go if you want to travel anywhere in Canada rather than going into Toronto.
Yeah.
Their international airport, which is a nightmare. Go to Hamilton. It's just a little pokey airport. Very simple.
Yeah.
So they had a flight going to Vancouver, which had to make an emergency landing in Regina, Saskatchewan. So that's about a little bit more than halfway. But I just think it's odd. Nobody actually flies to Regina. It's just, why would you? Really? It's in the middle of the prairie, nothing there. Sorry, Regina people. Then a couple of weeks ago, I guess about 2 weeks, I think, there were 4 guys arrested in Quebec, and I meant to mention it last week or the week before, whenever it was. And these guys are, 2 of them are current members of the armed forces. I don't know who the other 2 guys are, but they were arrested because they joined. They were going to create this militia, which has its a beef against the government, liberals in particular, and they were found with a large cache of weaponry and ammunition. And this is so they've been two of them, like I said, are in the armed forces. I don't know about the other 2 guys, but 3 of them have been charged with terrorism. So I guess they were really actively trying to start something for whatever. Good luck. Yeah. I know our army's small, but I think we can hold off 4 guys. But it's just, it could have been for catastrophic attacks in Parliament Hill or something. So, yeah. But I mean, this has been an issue for the armed forces for some time. This extremist mentality of some of these people, and I heard this morning that 2 of them had actually joined the forces specifically to get trained for this sort of thing. So I mean, that's pretty extreme and out there. But yeah, this has been an issue in the armed forces, and I think you get a certain type of person that is attracted to that life, and running and jumping and playing with guns and stuff. And some of them are just whacked out. So I mean, I think you get that in police forces too. People that are very militaristic.
Well, they have to look out for that to prevent that from happening. That is a thing.
Well, the RCMP arrested them, and they always get their man.
Right.
Yeah. So, and we don't have these love hotels you're talking about up here. We have love shacks, baby love shacks.
What the difference?
Well, the beds are in the shape of a maple leaf.
Okay. Good.
Okay, kids. Have a good one.
All right, thanks. Okay, where was I? Oh yeah, let's go to Rick. Ricardo, what's happening in the fine city of Oxnard?
Well, let's see. A Cal State Channel Islands professor, PhD, was taken into custody by ICE, and nobody knows where he is. Nobody can find him.
Wow. So they're claiming he's an illegal? Is that what they're claiming, that he's undocumented?
They're claiming that he threw a tear gas container at ICE. He's just vanished. Nobody knows where he is. He hasn't been able to make phone calls. So
Yeah.
that's the best who did that. No due process. Let's see. Pam Bondi dismissed the chief ethics officer for the Justice Department yesterday without cause. But, why do you need an ethics officer if you don't believe in ethics?
Right.
And then the one that really kind of hit home to me, for a nation that claims to be a Christian nation, is 500 tons of food are going to be burned.
Yeah, is it amazing?
USAID. They're biscuits. They're like protein biscuits. They're not. It's not lobster rolls.
Right.
I'm sure they're pretty tasteless. Designed food to keep people alive, and it's enough to feed, I think, 1.5 million kids for a week. They're just going to burn it. Doji.
That's the real criminal thing about this, is that even if you take their argument that there's waste, fraud, and abuse, why would they even be able to claw back contracts that already have been signed? It's like this is money that's already been paid. Why? How are they even able to do that? The level of illegality, and let alone cruelty, is shocking. It's like, why wouldn't they let them do that and they just won't buy anymore? I get, Go ahead, sorry.
It's literally burning taxpayer dollars. Now this is the food that was, I think this is the food that was in the Port of Houston.
Yeah.
And it's been sitting there since they cut off the ID, and they wouldn't let them load it on the container ship. Even though it was ready to go, it was ready to be distributed, they wouldn't let
already
them go.
paid for, already funded.
Already paid for, already funded. Literally, they are burning tax dollars to be cruel.
Yeah.
And for a nation that, I can't believe that this isn't the churches across the nation and the evangelical pastors aren't screaming bloody murder.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Sorry, I got Jesus. Sorry, I'm gonna burn this fish because you all don't deserve it. It's so crazy. It's almost unimaginable the type of mind that would think up something so nasty and vile as literally just letting people die because, we want to make a little point here, a little political point. It's shocking, and I'm going to write to a few churches here in town today and say, hey, it's time for you to start speaking up about this stuff. You can't stay quiet anymore.
Rick, I agree with the principles that you're raising, but for this particular food that's being incinerated, it was sitting in Dubai